If you use an email address provided by a business, the business may access the account, control the account, and any content therein.
Wait, read that again. Where are you seeing that?
Section 1.4. Under business email domain, I'm staring right at it on the screen. It explicitly says if you use an email address provided by a business, that business can access the account, control the account, and any content in it.
What?
Does this mean if I use my company email to sign up for this software, my boss can see all my personal photos or like side projects? I set up the account, I created the password.
That sounds crazy. Keep reading the rest of that paragraph.
Well, this is exactly why we're doing this deep dive today. We are literally just reading through this massive legal text that everyone just clicks agree on, and this business email section is right at the top.
Yeah, I have the document open on my end too. I am looking at section 1.4 right now. Let's see. It says here, if the business establishes a direct relationship with us, they may want to add your account to such relationship.
Add my account to their relationship, meaning they just, absorb my profile.
It continues, if this happens, the business may roll your account into the business's account. And if they do that, the business might be able to access the account, take control of it, and any content inside. And here's the kicker. It says, whether stored, uploaded, or imported before or after the date these terms were last updated.
Before or after?
Yeah.
So wait, think about the timeline here.
Yeah.
Say I set up a free account like 5 years ago using my work email just because it was easy to remember.
Right.
And I have been using it for my own personal freelance stuff on the weekends.
Yeah.
According to this, my company can just claim it tomorrow.
If your company decides to set up a corporate relationship with the platform, they can pull your individual account under their umbrella just because it has their domain name on the email address. The text is giving them full control to access, use, or delete anything inside it.
Wow.
It doesn't matter if you uploaded a file yesterday or half a decade ago.
So to you listening right now, if you are mixing personal creative projects on an account tied to your work email, you do not actually own that account.
Yeah.
The document even gives a warning. I'm looking at the next line right now. It advises moving non-business content to a new account with a personal email. It literally says, if you do not want the business to access, use, delete, retain, or control an account or profile, do not use a business email address with that account.
They are spelling it out as clearly as a legal document can. I mean, get your personal files off that email address immediately.
Yeah, that makes me wonder about ownership in general, honestly. If clicking agree gives my boss the right to take my account under specific circumstances, what rights are we handing over to the software company itself?
That's a good question.
I am scrolling down to section 4.3 right now, and my heart rate is legitimately spiking. Listen to this sentence.
Which subsection are you on?
It's titled Licenses to Your Content, the very first line. You grant us a non-exclusive, worldwide, royalty-free license to reproduce, distribute, create derivative works.
Oh, wow. Worldwide, royalty-free license. That is intense.
Wait, are we giving them the right to take our art, modify it, and just give it away for free around the world? Did we just sign away our copyright the moment we hit save?
Create derivative works is the phrase that jumps out at me there.
Right.
That implies they can alter your files or, build new things out of your original creations. That sounds like they can take a logo you designed, put it on a billboard in Tokyo, and not pay you a dime.
Why are we agreeing to this? It reads like a hostile corporate takeover of my personal drawings.
Well, hold on. Let's look at the very next sentence before we panic entirely.
Okay.
The paragraph continues. Solely for the purposes of operating the services.
Solely for operating the services. But what does that actually cover in practice? Operating the service could mean literally anything.
They actually list specific examples right below it in the text. Let's parse the bullet points. So under reproduce, the example they give is, for example, to copy your cloud content onto our servers so you can upload your cloud content, or to make backups.
Okay, so reproducing just means backing up files on the cloud. That makes logical sense. I mean, they technically can't store your file unless you give them legal permission to copy the data onto their server.
Exactly. And let's look at the distribute part. The example here is to publish your work under your direction to a third-party platform, or to allow permitted individuals to download your cloud content. So basically, hitting the share button or sending a link to a client.
Okay, follow that. But what about create derivative works? That is the one that sounded like they were going to remix my art and sell it.
Let me see. The example here says, for example, to compress images to make thumbnails, to remove the background of an image at your direction, or to translate cloud content into another language.
I am still stuck on the phrasing, though. Why use such terrifying, aggressive legal language just to make a thumbnail image? I mean, worldwide, royalty-free license to create derivative works.
Well, if they don't have a worldwide royalty-free license to do that, you could technically sue them for copyright infringement just for making the software function properly.
Oh, I see the mechanism now. If I am sitting in London and my file is saved on a server in California, and it loads a thumbnail preview in my browser legally, the software just copied my file across international borders, modified its size, and distributed it to my screen.
Exactly. It's an overly broad legal shield for basic technical functions.
So it is a totally reasonable clause wrapped in terrifying language. They just need the legal clearance to move the ones and zeros around their servers without a million users suing them.
And just to close the loop on the ownership panic, it explicitly says underneath that section in bold text what Adobe will not do. We will not and cannot sublicense your content. We do not have the right to use your content to market or promote Adobe, and we will not do so.
Okay, so they aren't stealing our art to sell it. But if they aren't selling it, are they feeding it to AI? That is the big fear right now across the entire creative industry. Everyone assumes that anything they upload is instantly being scraped to train generative AI models.
Let me run a search in the document for the word AI. Okay, I'm looking at section 2.2, subsection F, and also going back to that section 4.3 we were just looking at.
What is the verdict?
It says here, we will not train generative AI models on your local or cloud content.
Wait, it just flat out says no caveats.
It says, we will not use your content to train generative AI models except for content you choose to submit to the Adobe stock marketplace.
Oh, okay, good.
And they have another section, 2.2b, addressing files stored on your own hardware. For content stored locally on your device, we do not scan or review your content.
That is actually a massive relief.
Yeah.
Unless I specifically choose to sell my work in their stock photo marketplace, my files are safe from the AI training vacuum. And if the file is just sitting on my hard drive, they don't even look at it. The distinction they draw seems to be completely based on where the file lives.
The language is very clear on that point. Local storage is a black box to them.
But wait a minute. I am reading right below that at section 2.2, Jury. This is about cloud content. It says here there can be human review of cloud content.
Human review.
Human review, as in a physical employee looking at my personal files stored in the cloud. How does that work if they just promise they respect my privacy?
Let's look at the bullet points under 2.2 greens for when human review actually happens.
So,
The first bullet point, when you ask us to. Like if you contact tech support because a file is corrupted. That makes sense.
sure, if I call them and say, fix my broken file, I expect a human to open it and look at the code.
Right. Bullet point 2, when you make your cloud content publicly available, like posting it to their public galleries.
Yeah.
Bullet point 3, when your cloud content is flagged or reported as illegal or abusive. They specifically mention child sexual abuse material here. So scanning for illegal stuff. And if the automated system flags something, a human reviews it to confirm.
Again, completely understandable. Nobody wants illegal content hosted on these servers. That is just standard moderation.
But then there is bullet point 4. Listen to this. When you opt in to a pre-release beta or product improvement program,
Say that again.
human review can happen when you opt in to a pre-release beta or product improvement program.
Wow. To put this in context for you listening, imagine you open the software and you see a pop-up for a cool new beta feature. Maybe it's a new way to automatically mask photos or like a new layout tool.
Yeah.
If you decide to try it out, you are agreeing that an employee might open and manually look at the files you are currently working on.
It elaborates on this further down in section 3.1 about beta versions. It says, in exchange for your use of a beta version, you agree that Adobe may collect data and analyze your content, including human review, to improve our services and software.
This changes everything about how I view those pop-ups. If you are working on something highly confidential, let's say you are editing photos for a major product launch that hasn't been announced to the public yet, or you are dealing with sensitive client documents, and you decide to use a beta feature just because it's faster, you are suddenly giving a human being at the company permission to look at those files.
And it states that if you don't want that tracking or human review, your only option is to uninstall the beta version entirely and go back to the regular version. You can't use the beta and just turn off the human review in the settings. It is the literal cost of admission for using the early tools.
People click yes to beta features all the time just to play with the new shiny buttons. They have no idea they're literally inviting a human reviewer into their workspace.
Well, from a software development standpoint, they need to see how the new tool handles real-world files to fix bugs and crashes. But as a user, you really need to be aware of what you are trading for that early access.
So if clicking yes to a beta feature essentially invites a human into your workspace, it makes you wonder about the opposite extreme. If active use is a privacy risk, is abandoning your account the safest play?
Interesting thought.
Actually, doing nothing carries its own set of buried clauses. I'm looking at Section 5.3 right now.
What is 5.3 about?
It's titled Free Account Inactivity. It says, you are responsible for keeping your account active. If you do not sign into your account periodically, we reserve the right to assume your account is inactive, and you agree that we may permanently delete your content stored in the account or close your account entirely.
Permanently delete your content.
Wow. If you have a free account and you don't log in periodically, they can wipe everything. Just permanently delete your entire archive of files.
That's harsh.
Yeah, and it notes right at the bottom, for the avoidance of doubt, this Section 5.3 does not apply to paid accounts in good standing. So if you are paying them every month, you are fine. But free users can lose their archives just for being inactive.
And it says they will attempt to provide notice before they delete it. But think about how that works in reality. If that warning email goes to your spam folder or, used an old email address you don't check anymore, your life's work could just be gone.
I am guessing this is where they give themselves permission to sweep the servers to save money on storage costs. But let's say they wipe my account by accident. Or let's go back to that first point we discussed. Let's say I disagree with them handing my personal files over to my boss because I used a work email.
Right.
Let's say I am furious. Can I take them to court over this?
Let's scroll down to the legal dispute section to see what your options are.
Okay.
That is Section 14. Dispute resolution, class action waiver, arbitration agreement.
Class action waiver? Well, that answers part of it right away. If they do something that messes up a million users at once, we can't team up to fight them.
Section 14.2 spells it out. You may only resolve disputes with us on an individual basis, and you may not bring a claim as a plaintiff or a class member in a class, consolidated, or representative action.
And the arbitration agreement part, what does it actually say about going to court?
In 14.1, it says if you have a dispute, you have to try to resolve it informally first for 30 days. Contact customer service, essentially. Right. If that doesn't work, any resulting legal actions must be resolved through final and binding arbitration. It specifically says an arbitrator, not any federal, state, or local court or agency, will have exclusive authority to resolve any dispute.
Which means a private judge in a conference room instead of public courtroom. I can't sue them in a regular court system.
There is an exception for small claims court. If your dispute qualifies monetarily, you can take it to small claims. But for anything bigger, any major grievance, it is binding arbitration. No jury, no public trial.
That feels incredibly locked down. The goal here is clearly to prevent massive, expensive public lawsuits. Is there any way around that? What if I don't want to agree to arbitration when I sign up?
This is a wild detail. I am looking at Section 14.6.
Yeah.
You actually can opt out of this arbitration rule.
Wait, really? How? Is there a toggle switch in my profile settings?
No button, no toggle switch. It says you have the right to opt out within the first 30 days of using the services, or within 30 days of the terms being updated. And to do it, you have to send us written notice of your decision at the address set forth in Section 18.2.
Wait, I have to mail a written letter through the postal service.
It says you can also email a specific legal department address, but again, you have to do it within 30 days of first using the service.
Just imagine the absurdity of this scenario. You are on a deadline at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday. You download a free trial of a photo editing app to crop one image. Are you really going to walk over to your desk, draft a formal legal summons, open your email, and send a message to a corporate headquarters in San Jose just to preserve your Seventh Amendment right to a trial by jury?
Almost nobody does that. I mean, it is technically an option, but functionally it is a phantom clause. Legally, they gave you the option to say no, so the clause holds up in court. But if you miss that 30-day window because you were just trying to edit a photo, you are locked into arbitration forever.
We have covered a massive amount of ground here, parsing through paragraphs of dense text. Let's synthesize what this all means for you, the person listening, based entirely on the clauses we just read during this deep dive.
First, check what email address your account is registered under immediately. If you signed up years ago using an old corporate email or your current job's email, your employer could legally take control of that account, including your personal files. Separate your life. Move your personal work to a clean account with a personal email address.
Absolutely. Second, realize that trying out new beta features is not just a technical experiment, it is a direct privacy trade-off. Clicking yes to a beta program explicitly opens your files up to potential human review by the company's employees. If you are working on sensitive, unreleased, or confidential material, stay far away from the beta versions and stick to the standard tools.
Third, if you rely on a free account to store your files, make a calendar reminder to log in every once in a while. If you just leave your archives sitting there untouched, they can and will classify it as inactive and send your files to the digital incinerator without your permission.
Do not assume cloud storage is permanent if you aren't actively paying for it.
Before we wrap this up, I want to bring up one last detail I spotted while we were looking at section 4.3 earlier.
Oh, what did you find?
We talked about how they have a license to analyze your files to improve the software, things like looking at file types, structural characteristics, how you use the tools. It's under section 4.3b, license to cloud content to improve our services.
Right, not for generative AI like we established, but just general product improvement, telemetry data, basically.
Yeah, look closely at section 4.3c. It says you have the right to opt out of them analyzing your content for product improvement. It links to a completely separate page where you can go to turn this tracking off.
Wait, so I have to go into my account settings and specifically tell them not to analyze how I work?
By default, by simply using the software, you're opted in. You have to actively hunt down the privacy setting to stop them from analyzing your files and your daily usage data.
It really leaves you with a lingering question. If you have to specifically dive into the hidden settings of this massive legal document just to tell them not to quietly analyze your files, what other software on your computer is silently analyzing your daily habits right now, simply because you didn't read page 12 of the user agreement?